My name is Jake Gray. I'm 35. I was married to my beautiful wife for 6 years. She's 31. She looks like she's 25. We didn't have any children. I was ready. She wasn't. She kept telling me, soon, honey, soon. Our sex life was great. More than that, it was the kisses and hugs that I loved more than anything. I tried to make love every chance I got, just to be close to her. When I held her in my arms, I felt peaceful and loved. She was always responsive and available. And all the time we were married, I was happy. I thought she was too. My mistake was in trusting her. Her name is Kelly, and my love turned into a blinding hate and then a cold, empty void. I've heard that the opposite of love is indifference. That's not true in my case. My love has turned into a dull, bone-chilling rage. My soul is dead. I'll never recover. If the bitch was on fire, I wouldn't piss on her to put it out. I guess you were wondering what happened to turn a kind, loving man into a vengeful machine. It all started at last year's company Christmas party. Kelly always dressed too sexy for these parties. I didn't mind too much. When she dressed like that, men paid her a lot of attention. I was flattered that the most desirable woman in the room was always my woman. I knew what was on the minds of every man that saw her. She was wearing a dress that didn't leave much to the imagination. I was married to a woman who looked like a walking wet dream. I wondered who she trying to impress. Usually, I'm not a jealous guy, but what's mine is mine. As long as there was no doubt about that, we were okay. I told Kelly before we left that a lot of men would be hitting on her and that I trusted her to not let anything go down that would be disrespectful to herself or me. I'm not a man who would tolerate bullshit. My fellow martial arts partners call me the Crusher for good reason. They all know I can be a mean son of a bitch. Kelly never saw that part of me, and I prayed she never would. I had an uneasy feeling before we left the house. I guess you could call it a premonition. Why are you looking like your dog just died, Jake? Don't you want to go to the party? She said, giving me her sexiest smile. That smile always made my body respond. To tell you the truth, boo, I really would rather skip the party this year. I called her by her pet name and was hoping that she would agree with me. Why, honey? I thought you always had fun at these parties, she said, as she put on a pair of sheer black stockings. Don't be such a party pooper. We don't get out dancing much. I really need to let my hair down and have some fun. I'm just about finished dressing. Come on, let's go. She sounded a bit irritated at my hesitation. First, come over here and let me take care of that problem I see in your pants. I can't have my man walking around with a Woody all night. I had no way of knowing it was going to be our last sexual moment. Wow, that was great, boo. I love you so much. Let me take care of you. Not so fast, big boy. If you do that, we'll never get to the party. I know, sweetheart. That's what I was thinking, I said, as she reapplied her lipstick. I still looked concerned. Didn't I make you happy, honey? There's still something on your mind. Something wasn't right. She was too excited about that damn party. It's just that last year the party got a little too wild for my taste. There was a lot of ass grabbing going on. People start drinking and acting stupid. You know, crowds make me nervous. Since Jim became the vice president of the company, he has hit on every woman in the office. There's a rumor that he's had sex with several of them. I almost knocked him on his ass last year. I didn't like the way he was always buzzing around you, and I surely didn't like the way he danced with you. Jim was the president's nephew. The slimy piece of shit thought the sun rose and set in his ass. He was married and had 2 kids. I felt sorry for his wife. She deserved a better man than that punk. I've often seen him flirt with numerous women in a way that humiliated her at previous parties. She has refused to come with him for the past couple of years. She was a real lady and good-looking too. I couldn't imagine why she stayed with the pompous clown. He's just a big flirt. I can handle him. Never forget that I'm proud to be your woman. I love you more than life. You know that, don't you? There's no need for you to be worried. Sure, he's tall, rich and handsome, but he'll never be the man you are. You're my baby and you always will be. I didn't like her description of the creep, but I shrugged it off. Kelly never gave me a reason to doubt her loyalty. Love is truly blind. I could see my fate was sealed. There would be no changing her mind. Sometimes a man has to give an inch to gain a mile. I didn't want anything to interfere with my plan to make mad, passionate love with her when we got home. We arrived at the party a little late. Some of the people were already a little drunk. The music filled the room. People were dancing, laughing, and generally having a good time. I decided to try to fit in and hope that the evening would end sooner than later. As soon as we walked through the door, Jim Stevens came over and gave me a weak handshake. I felt like I'd touched a snake. He glared lasciviously at Kelly, taking her hand and giving it a long kiss, totally ignoring my presence. My blood pressure caused my head to start pounding. It wouldn't have taken much more to knock him out right there. I could see it was going to a long night. She gave me a wink signifying we were secure, and we began to mingle with the guests. Jim walked over and took Kelly by the arm. She didn't object. I didn't know how much more I could take. "Let me introduce you to some of our new staff," he said, with a wolfish grin. He acted like Kelly was his woman. "You don't mind, do you, Jake?" He didn't wait for my answer. Kelly gave me her please relax look, so I let it pass. A good friend of mine, named Eddie, saw what was happening and dragged me over to a group of guys playing a drinking game and telling lies while their wives circulated and gossiped about whatever it is women talk about. I pretended to drink. I never get drunk. I like to keep my wits about me. While I was enjoying the company of my friends, I would look around occasionally for Kelly. I noticed that she danced with a couple of guys. Everything seemed above board. I'm not sure how much time had passed. I knew I was ready to go home and ravish my wife. We hadn't made love for a couple of days, which was a long time for us. I was glad that she had the opportunity to let her hair down, as she put it. I had done my duty. I looked for her. I couldn't find her and couldn't imagine where she could be. I looked everywhere. I saw her friend Pam and inquired if she had seen Kelly. Pam looked a little nervous and told me that she had seen Kelly dancing with Jim about 15 minutes ago. I felt the hair on the back of my neck stand up. The uneasy feeling that had been haunting me turned my stomach into knots. I began to look for her outside the ballroom. I heard voices as I looked into an unused small conference room. I decided to check it out. I could hear a woman in the throes of passion. It sounded like Kelly. I couldn't believe my eyes. There was my loving wife bent over the arm of a chair being fucked by the slime ball himself. At first, I was paralyzed. I thought I was having a stroke. They were too involved in what they were doing to notice me standing there. I walked over and stood there for a while before they saw me. "Oh my God. Jake, let me explain." She shrieked, trying to pull herself together. "You have nothing to say to me, you lying bitch," I said, with all the venom I could muster. "I worship the ground you walked on, and this is how you repay me. We're finished. You are no longer my wife. Look at me." She couldn't raise her head. I grabbed by her hair and forced her to look at me. "What do you see, you fucking whore? Do you see the eyes of the man that loved you? They're the eyes of a dead man. You killed my heart and soul tonight. Now, I see why you were so eager to come to that damn party. You wouldn't fuck me because you were saving your cheating pussy for this dirtbag." At that, she let out an agonizing cry. No, I. Don't try to talk your way out of this. You've been busted, bitch." She was terrified. She tried to speak, but no words came out. All the time I was berating my soon-to-be ex-wife. Jim just stood there looking amused. At that moment, 3 of my buddies entered the room: Eddie, Paul, and Dave. I guess Pam told them there was going to be trouble. They stood there frozen. Nobody knew what to say. I turned to Jim. "And you piece of shit. I should kill you where you stand. If you try anything, I'll have you arrested for assault, and my uncle will fire you. Maybe I'll just kick your ass for the hell of it. I've already had your precious wife say several times." He was sneering at me. "Fuck you and your uncle." I growled. I decided to not only humiliate him, I was going to make him suffer, and Kelly too. He was a few inches taller than me. Not that it mattered. I wanted him to try to kick my ass. The prick had no idea of what I'm capable of. I allowed my anger to dull the pain as I looked at the woman I would have gladly given my life for. We both knew that what she had done was unforgivable. There could be no excuses or forgiveness. Our life together was over. As badly as I wanted to kill him, she wasn't worth spending the next 25 years in prison. "Your ass is mine. You will pay for your disrespect," I said, looking him in the eye. I wasn't reacting as he expected me to. I was blocking his exit deliberately. I could see the indecision on his face. He decided to bluff his way out and push me out of the way. That was a big mistake. I easily avoided his hand and gave him a quick shot to his guts. When he doubled over, I grabbed him around his neck and began slapping him with the palm of my hand. The first slap stunned him and twisted his head around as he hit the floor. I lost count as to how many times I bitch slapped the now defenseless whimpering garbage on the floor. All right. Please, enough. No more, please. No more." He begged like the candy-ass bitch he was. "Not nearly enough, cocksucker. You will live to regret over and over deciding to screw my wife. You took what was mine. When I'm finished, you will be divorced and disgraced. I'm going to sue you for alienation of affection. Then, I'm going to sue the company for your misconduct on company time. I'll be rich and you'll be fucked. You have messed with the wrong man. Hear me good, the wrong man. If a man's voice can sound murderous, mine did. 2 police entered the room. I looked at Kelly. I didn't forget about you, slut. You gave up a good man and your marriage for this crying piece of shit? You fucking deserve each other. He attacked me. Arrest him. He's crazy. He yelled at the cops. They understood what was happening. It was self-defense, officer, said Eddie. When Jake caught him banging his wife, he tried to attack Jake. Is that right? The cop asked the other 2 men. Absolutely, officer, said Paul. Jake was defending himself, answered Dave. They're lying. He assaulted me, pleaded Jim. He was close to hysterical. The cops looked at Kelly. She appeared to be in shock. Her lips moved, but no words came out. Are you all right, lady? Did you see what happened? She just sat there crying with her hands on her face. I could feel no pity for her. The love I had for her was compressed somewhere in the back of my mind. Do you want to press charges against this man? The sergeant said, pointing at Jim. I could see their sympathies were with me, even thought Jim was the one with the swollen face. What? He came after me. He's crazy, I tell you. I didn't do anything. That's not what 3 witnesses saw. The other cop said, Yes, officer. Lock his ass up. I'd be more than willing to press charges. Get him out of here, said the sergeant, looking at me with empathy. If there is anything I can do for you, let me know. Just call the station, ask for Sergeant Connor. Just you know. I've been there too. I nodded at him in silent recognition of his understanding. We'll talk to you later, Jake, said Eddie. Come on, guys, let's go. Jake has some business to take care of. Eddie walked over to me and looked into my soul. Then he hugged me. He said, hang tough. Then he left the room. Now, there were 2 people left. I picked up her panties off the chair and put them in my pocket. I had use for them later. Kelly had calmed down. It was easy to see she dreaded what was coming next. So did I. I felt an icy chill come over me. Something inside was broken. It was a numbing feeling. It allowed me to feel detachment from the woman I loved. I was a stranger to myself. I looked at Kelly and I thought of that old cliche that she appeared to have been ridden hard and put up wet. How does a man erase the woman he loves from his heart? I had no idea. I knew that I could never look at her in the same way again. I had to keep my anger. It controlled my grief and protected what was left of my sanity. At that moment, I knew what my revenge would be. The wound she inflicted will stay with me until the day I die. She had destroyed my world. The trust was gone. Nothing mattered anymore. Get your coat and meet me at the car. Be quick, I said, turning my back on her and leaving the room. I didn't want her to see the pain I was feeling. I didn't want her sympathy. The funeral for our love and marriage was about to begin. As the car sped into the night, my silence said volumes. Are we going home, Jake? We don't have a home anymore. When you broke our marriage vows, you destroyed our home. It's just a house now, a house where I used to be happy, a house where I loved and trusted a wife who used to be my best friend, I said, unable to disguise the sadness in my voice. She started to cry quietly. Jake, is there any way you could possibly forgive me? Please. I'll do anything. Give me a chance. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, she whispered. Do you think that I will ever forget what I saw tonight? Or that piece of shit telling me he fucked your ass? When you let that parasite have you, you fucked my enemy. You decided to dishonor your vows to me and give him what was mine, again and again. When you did that, you ended our marriage. That means the last 4 years have been a complete lie, a total fucking lie. Please, forgive me, Jake. Believe it or not, I love you with all my heart. I guess I let him use me for the excitement of doing something I shouldn't do. I never thought about the consequences. It was like a game, a silly, immature game. He could never be the man you are. I know I was foolish and selfish. Let me make it up to you, please. Beat me, curse me, anything you want. Just don't leave me. I'll die without you in my life. It didn't mean anything. It meant everything. I yelled as my hands gripped the steering wheel. My emotions were taking control. I forced myself to calm down. A game. Fucking with my life was a game. The car slowed and stopped. She didn't have a chance to answer. We're here. Where are we? Get out. Why? What's going on? Her face showed concern and fear. Get your ass out of the car, now. My tone left her no choice. Kelly followed me to the door. Mrs. Stevens? Yes, how can I help you? My name is Jake Gray. I used to work for your husband's company. May I speak with you a moment? Is Jim okay? What's this about? I had a firm grip on Kelly's arm as we entered the house. "Please, come in. Have a seat." She was the kind of wife I thought I had. I was going to cause her pain. Jim would hurt much worse. He should have read me better. I had to hurt his innocent wife in order to crush him and humiliate my soon-to-be ex-wife. I was being driven by primitive feelings I can't begin to explain. "This will only take a short time, Mrs. Stevens. My wife has something to tell you." All eyes were on Kelly. "Tell her." I tightened my grip on her arm. I. She hesitated. "Tell her." My grip tightened again. "My husband caught me having sex with Jim tonight at the Christmas party." She blurted the words out like they were poison. "Tell her how long you've been fucking her husband. Every year, for the past 4 years, we've managed to sneak away and have sex." She cried. "I acted like a slut and I'm so sorry. We only had her word on that. She could have had a series of lovers and/or a relationship with Jim more often than she's confessed. Who cares? Her ability to deceive long-term had already been established." Jim's wife looked more enraged than shocked. She always knew he was an asshole, but to be confronted with his adultery made her knees weak. She recovered and walked to Kelly and slapped her hard. Kelly fell back holding her face, stunned and hurt. "Get that whore out of my house," she hissed. "When I'm finished divorcing his worthless ass, you can have him, slut." She spoke, looking at Kelly like roadkill. It felt good knowing Jim was going to have one hell of a welcome home reception when he bailed out. I knew that Kelly and I would soon part forever. It hurt me to look at her. I never could have imagined the day would come when my beloved wife would need my protection and I not give it to her. Well, shit happens. We were getting close to her sister's house. "We will be divorced," I said, without looking at her. "The house will be sold and I will take 70% of the equity. We'll divide our investments equally and keep our own pensions. If you don't contest the divorce, I will not use adultery against you, which would include the testimony of at least a dozen people who were aware of what you were doing over the past 4 years. I'm sure my 3 friends would be happy to drive a nail into your chest. They were there when I kicked the shit out of Loverboy. I will then mail the transcript to every friend and relative you have. That would expose you for the slut you are to everyone. It's up to you. There's nothing I can do, Jake? Nothing." She looked defeated, helpless, and desperate. "You already know the answer to that question, don't you? My revenge against you will last a long time, maybe forever. What are you going to do to me? I know you. You're basically a good woman whose lapse in character has cost both of us a terrible price. I believe that you love me, but it doesn't matter. For the most part, you've been a good wife whose selfishness has ruined several lives. You are also self-centered and manipulative. I guess I chose not to deal with that part of you throughout our marriage. I'll never make that mistake again. Your guilt will haunt you. It will grow and consume you. When you finally realize that I'm never coming back, you'll experience deep depression and loss. You'll crave my forgiveness, having forfeited my love. I want you to go to your grave regretting what you have done to yourself and me and carrying the burden of knowing that you are unforgiven." The car pulled in front of her sister's house. "You'll be hearing from my lawyer soon. Don't go back to the house until noon tomorrow. By that time, I'll be gone. I'll come back, when you aren't there, to get the rest of my stuff. That's it, Jake. Over. 6 years of marriage, gone, just like that. Just like that. Goodbye, by the way. Take these with you," I said as I handed her back her panties. Tears fell from her eyes as she exited the car. Tears rolled down my face as well.
Dear listener, if you have reached this far, please click on the subscribe button. It will be a great help.